All right, assuming that we are back after that interlude and that update and everything else, let's see now. Book 76, Caliban's War, Expanse number 2 by S.A. Corey, James S.A. Corey. Um, okay, so if we recall, in the first book, we had a situation where the Earth, Mars, and the Belt was more or less going to war and having problems. Well, this is the war, Caliban's war. And it starts off not with the things going on Eros or on Ceres or on Earth or Mars, but what happens on Ganymede. And what happens there is Protogen, the same company that had been responsible for releasing the protomolecule on Eros, does the same thing on Ganymede. Or do they? Well, no, they don't. Not exactly the same thing. See, on Ganymede, I mean, in Eros, what they did was they just gave the protomolecule biomass to see what it would do. And it did what it did, and Eros got crashed into Venus. And so, all the way through this book, Eros is on Venus, and it's being studied as it builds something huge that at the very end of the book lifts off of Venus and flies off into space. And we'll find out more about that later. But so if I forget to mention Venus anymore, that's because that's basically the whole Venus story. Is a We update about 5 or 6 times throughout the book about Venus. But what's really going on now is Ganymede, and on Ganymede they didn't just release the protomolecule to take care of some, to make use of random biomatter. What they did in this case was they planned ahead and they introduced the molecule to immunocompromised individuals, mostly kids, in order to build a super soldier. And this worked really well, except for one problem. It doesn't always follow instructions. So they release one of these things on Ganymede, and it's got a bomb built inside of it. And this thing, it can go on the surface of Ganymede where there's no air, and it starts on the Earth side of the line because Ganymede is being occupied jointly by Mars and Earth to keep the peace. And it starts on the Earth side and kills some of the Earth soldiers. The Earth soldiers run towards the Martian lines, and the protomolecule has cut all communication. It's blocked all communication, so nobody can communicate with the suit from suit to suit. And so the Martians fire on the Earth and on the protomolecule soldier who's chasing after it, and it's just a beast. It's just tears people apart. It's just a beast. Literally tears people apart. And one Martian survives, Roberto Bobby Draper, and she becomes one of the most important characters in this book. Her and on Ganymede, when no, the way Ganymede works is Ganymede doesn't have an atmosphere, right? So there are domes, and in these domes there are plants, and this is the breadbasket of the belt. This is where all the food is grown, and so there are a bunch of botanists and scientists and people like that here, and it has huge mirrors above it to reflect sunlight into these plants. And one of these mirrors crashes into one of these domes and absolutely obliterates it and just disrupts Ganymede and Ganymede's base. It's not destroyed and it's not overrun by protomolecule, but it is destroyed in the sense that it's going to the entire ecosystem is going to fail. And as this happens, James Holden and his crew, James, Naomi, Alex, and Amos on the Rocinante come in. Now, the Rocinante stays behind with Alex, hiding behind in a different moon, while the other three go in another ship. And they get to Mars, they get to Ganymede, and they run into Prax, who is not a contact, is nobody they know, but Prax is a botanist whose daughter is immunocompromised, and so he doesn't know what's happened to her. And so as they track her down, they find out this other plot by Protogen to introduce the protomolecule to immunocompromised people. And so they get back out of Ganymede and they go to the place where um, to the station where This is going. Is it Europa? Is it Europa? I think it's Europa. They go and they take care of that, and um, I don't want to do any more spoilers here, so they do take care of that, and that's basically the plot of this book. That, and we get a much more of the politics of Earth. This is the first book where we get Avarasara, the elderly Indian woman who is the undersecretary um, of the guy Sindar, whatever his name is. I can't. I'm not good with names, as you know. Um, but yeah, and she's trying to stop the war, and she's being hindered because Jules Mao, and Salvador are trying to cause the war to happen. They're the main drivers behind the war, and she's trying to stop it. And so at one point, what happens is Bobby Draper is the only survivor of the Ganymede incident, and she goes to Mars and gives her report, and she goes to Earth and gives her report there, and then she gets under Avarasarla's employ. She becomes her liaison to Mars and basically resigns her commission as a Marine and works for Avarasarla now. And they get put on a yacht, a space yacht, Jules Mao's space yacht, and they're just basically shuttled off in the sea into nowhere land, technically on their way to Ganymede, but very, very slowly. And at a certain point, they're going to be taken over and killed. So they fight back. They steal the Razorback, Julie's Razorback, which is on the uh, yacht, and they take that and they go to the Rosnati where James and all them are at the time. And anyway, there's a whole thing. There's a war and all kind of stuff going on, and that's what the Caliban is. Caliban is the proto-molecule soldier, the unthinking brute. And there you go. That is essentially what happens here. And of course, James and Naomi and Alex and Amos and Avarsala and Bobby and Prax all survive to fight another day. And the proto-molecule has built whatever it's built on Venus, and the one on Ganymede was apparently completely destroyed. Now, you may find out in the future that's not true, but at the moment, that's what we're led to believe. See you next time.